Welcome everyone back to the Tom Colohue channel. Today we are watching SummerSlam. This is going to be a little different to the usual spoiler warning shows. For those who are not already aware, our watch parties are a little bit more chill, a little bit more relaxed, and very different when it comes to the focus on news. A few things will slip in here every now and then, but for the vast majority of this, we're just going to be watching SummerSlam with a few friends and having some fun. So I hope you guys very much enjoy this, and I'll be in your ear the entire time, from the beginning to the end. There are 6 matches planned and 6 matches announced. Honestly, I'm quite excited for this one. I think they've put together a good couple of cards here, which will give us everything we need, though there are a few matches I'm not too excited for. I'm not that excited by Jelly Roll. There's a few things I'm not too excited for. I'm not that excited by Karrion Kross, but we are where we are. And I think it should be said that we're still going to try and enjoy as much as we can. And anything we don't enjoy, you know what we'll do? We'll mock it relentlessly, and hopefully you guys can join in with that, because, what can I say? That's where the fun is. Welcome Marcel, welcome Coach Nick, good to see you. We've got plenty of chat rate bombarding the chat as we speak. We will be live from beginning to end. The show has just started, sponsored by Wingstop. Sponsored by Wingstop. And I'm going to quickly check when are we expected to finish. So we know roughly where we are. Night 1, end time. Let's see what we've got in the UK. A lot about it being tonight. A lot of people saying it's going to be 4 to 5 hours. I find that unlikely. No real end time. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Tonight's main event will, of course, be CM Punk challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. The opener, as I've mentioned previously, is going to be Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Welcome, Bailey. Good to see you. Juan says, do you see Uncle Howdy helping Alexa and Charlotte win the tag team titles? No, I don't believe there's any connection with them whatsoever. Bailey says, Tom, does anyone in your household follow wrestling? Yes. Mostly me, as I'd imagine you might expect, but the fact that I constantly got wrestling on in the background has caused basically my entire household to take at least some notice of it. We watch a lot of Royal Rumbles. I'll say that. The Women's Royal Rumbles in particular, we watch them a lot. Juan says, hey Tom, LA Knight liked to comment on Instagram of a fan saying that if Triple H didn't push him, maybe he should consider leaving like Kross. Interesting. Well, what I will say, Triple H has pushed him. Strongly and consistently and to championships. If the deal is supposed to be, hey, you need to make him the top champion and push him for the next 15 years, that's not going to happen. LA Knight's had a very good run, and I think he should be very happy with where he is. I certainly would be. Jordan says, a very goodbye evening, Dom and chat. Well, a very good evening to you, Jordan. Marcel says, do you believe the John Cena face turn promo? No. Thank you, Sai. Welcome to the show. And can I just say to anyone watching, Sai has created a work of art for us. An absolute work of art. When it comes to the SummerSlam 98 theme, the Highway to Hell, but of course modernised with a John Cena and a Cody Rhodes, I'm thrilled with what you've made here, Sai. Thank you very kindly for it. He said, enjoy the stream and the show, everyone. Of course, over here in the UK, it's quite late. I'm not expecting everyone to be awake for the entirety of it, but thank you very much for joining. We have ourselves an intro video. A few mentions of R-Truth there. You will note the WWE's increasing push of these watch parties. Not this one per se. There's a reason for that. But you'll note increasing use of watch parties to generate hype. WWE know how to connect with the fans. It's by taking stuff from X. Nick says, great work on the graphics, Sai. Kevin says, what was the point doing 3 hours of pre-show with no matches? And the idea is that the WWE eventually want to essentially have a 24/7 Netflix stream of wrestling content. They want to make it so that it is basically an endless stream on one channel so that you're always watching. Roy says, what night of SummerSlam do you think will be better? Difficult. difficult. I think night 2 will be chaotic and a bit more fun, but I think the results are going to be more warmly welcomed on night 1. Bailey says it's all about generating clicks on Netflix and YouTube. Absolutely correct. And Jordan says, how long do you think each night is, Tom? Around 3 hours-ish? Yeah, I personally put it down at about 3 hours. Triple H likes to do his matches in half-hour blocks, even though the first match, because of intros, will usually go slightly over. I would imagine Gunther versus CM Punk won't be that long either, so I'd imagine it's probably going to be a nice, fitting 3 hours. This is, of course, the first 2-night SummerSlam, as first reported by myself way back when. I reported this when they first announced that the next year's SummerSlam would be 2 nights. So a lot of people got confused and thought I was simply reading it wrong. I was not. I was reporting the future. A female rapper is starting us off. Who have we got here? Diamond certified. I don't even know what that means. Oh, Cardi B, of course it is. Why am I surprised by this? She's been all over it. Juan says, since Karrion Kross is most likely leaving, according to your reporting, do you see AEW or New Japan signing him? I think TNA is the most likely to sign him. I think TNA. There is still, of course, a possibility that he may continue with the WWE, but he would need to sign on reduced terms. Nick said, does anyone else feel like the John Cena face turn feels like an opening for a Seth Rollins cash-in? Why would a Seth Rollins cash-in depend on anything like that? I'm confused. Sai says, I went to Mania 29 in that ugly-ass stadium. Worst sports venue I've ever been to, and in the middle of nowhere. I'm still not over it, yeah? He's still feeling the pain, isn't he? Still feeling the pain. I'm sure you'll all remember that I've been a little under the weather recently. Today I woke up feeling a bit better. I do apologise for what's just happened there. But I'll get myself a drink. And I've got some lozenges. And hopefully that's going to have a positive impact. I am loving her helpers in the ring just to make sure her feathers stay in place. Oh, I hate her. Hate her voice. Ray says, I'm so happy Kylie Ray became the first women's ID champion. She deserved it. And Nick says, a heel catching in on a heel is kind of meh. Catching in on a face is more satisfying. Okay, there's logic to that. I get what you're saying. John says, does she have a mute button? No, but you do. She's reading a script. She's reading a script. Okay, so all of the screens around the ring are electronic now. They've given her a script on one of them. Also, is that supposed to be Budget Roman? I think one of her helpers is Budget Roman. By Budget Roman, it's probably like an actual Fatu, and I should probably think about my words carefully. But it felt like a Budget Roman. Juan says, how would Seth Rollins cash in if in fact his ACL is torn though? Unless it's a work. The suggestion from Wrestling Observer, who are not the most reliable on these things, is that it's all a work and always has been and blah blah. Cal says, welcome Cal, good to see you mate. And Marcel says, do you see Cody turning heel tomorrow? No, I do not. Bailey says, I think they're starting earlier at MetLife Stadium for what happened there when WrestleMania went late and thousands were stranded at the train station. We're starting with a big old-fashioned yeet. Sai says, there's a reason why that stadium didn't work, no roof. Not for the weather, the giant pillars on each corner of the ring to support the lighting. We couldn't see a thing, looks the same today. There has been a lot of hate for those pillars. And a lot of turn the light off. I remember a match between, I think it was AJ Styles and Randy Orton, that was entirely ruined by bad lighting. Nick says, Thomas said for a while now that SummerSlam will tell us if Seth's injury is a work or not. Yep. I mean, we'll find out. So I also points out, yep, that happened too with the trains. It happened at Wembley for All In as well. Very awkward, very awkward. A lot of people stranded. We were thankfully staying in London close enough that we decided to take an hour-long walk back to the hotel. I stand by it. I think it was one of the best decisions we could have made. Bailey says the stadium is built in swampland, not a destination. Doesn't sound it. Does not sound it at all. While I'm live, I'm of course going to be looking for clips and concepts that I can essentially use to fill a TikTok feed. To keep TikTok interesting, to keep ourselves growing, and to make sure that people are checking out everything that we do. So, for example, there is a clip on there of the stage setup before we went live, and I'll be keeping an eye there. So I'm going to be focused on a lot of different things at once. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'm just going to be doing a lot of things at once. But what can I say? There's a lot to do. There's a lot to enjoy, and for a lot of it, it's going to be difficult to really have anything to say that isn't already being said on screen. For example, while I enjoy the work that I do, I'm not a play-by-play guy, and I'm slightly behind the topic. So what I tend to do is bring in insight and interest and intrigue. A lot of you, of course, will be aware of, for example, the eyes and the ref. Fans are very, very invested in Jey Uso. We all know this. This is not a surprise to us. He seems very happy. Wade Barrett's a very strange guy. Nick says, can't remember seeing a yeet in the sun for a while. Can't remember seeing much of anything in the sun for a while, to be fair. Juan says, Wrestle Talk has lost its clickbait notion as of lately. They used to always mislead AEW and WWE so-called future signings. Thankfully, Tom put an end to that. I do what I can. Not everything's me, but I do what I can. Marcel says, do you think Roman will yeet tonight? I think the reason that Roman is coming out second is so that he doesn't have to. Bad Boy says, did you have any reports about a Charlotte spooky character? Alexa also talked about that in her recent interview. Alexa was asked about that in a recent interview. I have no reports on a Charlotte spooky character because, to my knowledge, there is no intention of having a Charlotte spooky character. Bailey says, I used to pay more attention to SummerSlam, but with PLE every 3 and 4 weeks, the build-up just aren't as strong. Yeah, there's been too many this year. There's been far too many, and it's difficult to get invested, especially when we have 2 at one weekend. So it says the worst stadium is Rogers Stadium in Canada, according to Coldplay, because it's a place on its own. Is that what you're going for? Its own? I certainly wouldn't listen to the advice of Coldplay for my my life's mission. What can I say? It is a hell of a lot of the stadium yeeting. I think they can be very happy with that. Sometimes WWE are disappointed that fans aren't really getting behind it, but I mean, next up we got Roman. I reckon Jey should try and convince him to yeet. That could be fun. Nick says Jey seems to be less gassed. Maybe the situation in Unreal was a bit of a rocket up the arse. Fair. They know now. Eric says hi, Tom. Welcome, Eric. A few OTC chants there. See, they yeet for Jey, but they put those fingers up and they acknowledge Roman. Bailey says, one of the best stadiums in the UK if they host a WrestleMania one day. The best option will, of course, be Wembley. The best option by far. Hey, Joey, good to see you, mate. Sai says, Roman yeeting would be akin to The Undertaker doing the spinner Rooney. I think it's a great opportunity. Jay's trying to get him to do it. He looks like he's going to do it, and then the music hits for Bron Breakker. Easy wins. Joey, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of SmackDown yet. It's been quite a busy day for me. I haven't really had a chance to fully catch up as I would have liked. So I've watched clips and I've watched bits. Jey Uso acknowledging him. Ron says, after watching Unreal episode 5, I have to question, how can Triple H save a straight face? We're not showing you all the tricks, yet he took me to the back and everything was revealed. I don't know what you're referring to in particular, but I'd imagine there was something there. You would say that, Si. Although, to be fair, it's a good shout. I'd also argue, was it West Ham who got the Olympic Stadium? Or was that Spurs? I think it was West Ham. Either way, that would be a good shout. Roman and Cody, I'm expecting to take a little more time off after this. Another long break. Gotcha, Si. Rented. Eric, did you see that? Or is your source beyond impunity? Joey, SummerSlam has started 15 minutes ago. So I said they can't buy that Cena's turn is a swerve. If he turns back again tomorrow, then he surely has to retire a heel, and I don't see that happening. Bailey says Unreal did not show producers going over finishes with the talent, so they kept that behind the curtain. Yeah, Joey, you've only missed entrances so far. And also Cardi B, which I think you'll probably be okay with. Yep, already started. First match is about to kick in. That's not a source, Eric. That's not a source. People can be easily tricked. Feeling quite a lot better, actually, Cal. Woke up feeling a lot better. Very notably so. Which, naturally, is a good feeling. Certainly could be worse. Lot of OTC chants here. Let me see, who've we got? What else have we got that we can share here? A lot of Cardi B. Couple of views of Roman's entrance. That's an interesting one. Let's do that. Any attempt to yeet? No attempt to make him yeet. Okay, do we have a special entrance here? Okay, having the shoes over your shoulder kind of made you look like you were in a bra there. Is there a problem with the music? Or is the music just that bad? I know Bron Breaker's theme is good, but is their combined music just bad? It feels like there's nothing there. Alternate view of Roman Reigns' entrance during WWE SummerSlam 2025. Oh, he stole his shoes? We live in a very strange world. Nick says, imagine if Cardi B sang the anthem. Let's not do that. There's a lot of people who definitely shouldn't be doing a lot of things. I think we can all agree that some people should just steer clear. Eric, Cardi B has been and gone. Absolutely been and gone. Hopefully not to be seen again. We might see her tomorrow. Which would not be fun, but we are where we are. And honestly, she didn't hurt. She didn't hurt, and she may be bringing some people in. Bailey says it's almost 20 minutes in, the match still hasn't started. Roman matches are never a quick start. Slight argument to be made there, Bailey. Usually it's at least 15 minutes when you consider the intros and also the introduction videos, and also here is a Spanish announce team, blah, 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 some singing involved. It's not unusual for the show to technically start 15-20 minutes later than it technically should. So I said some of the odds for SummerSlam were pretty wild. I was tempted enough to put a few quid down. Jacob Fatu and CM Punk were both outsiders. I think by the end of it they will be. Solo just has too much on his side. Jay already throwing stuff at Bron Breakker. Are we tornado tagging this, or is the referee just admitting that he has no control? Because sometimes I feel like the referee should just admit he has no control. Bron Breakker's struggling to get out of the ring there. Like, I'm not going to complain if we tornado tag for the whole thing. There should be more tornado tag matches. I feel like if we're going to do tag belts, do them properly. I feel like you're just trying to start hot and it's going to calm down, and then Jey Uso's going to get beat up for like 20 minutes. Roman's not going to do a lot of work here. I don't think that will surprise anyone. Cal says, can we ban rappers? Doesn't that technically mean no Jelly Roll? Oh, okay. Roman is gloating, but he's not yeeting. Roman, Jay acknowledged you. Oh, okay, yep, there we go. Nicely done in the end, I feel. Oh, lovely. Nobody caught him. Nobody was ready for him there, but it was a lovely dive. Sai says they seem to be moving away from any kind of rulebook. Every match tomorrow, bar one, is no DQ. Yeah, it's not really worked out brilliantly for them, has it? Oh, he landed straight on Roman's head. They were not ready for him. We're not really getting one-on-one matches. We're not really getting classic matches. They've just seemingly decided with SummerSlam that they're just going to throw everything at the wall. If you've been watching Battle of the Brands on Xavier Woods' channel Up, Down, Down, one of the things that they love to do when they're trying to get extra attention is just to have a load of special condition matches. Oh, I thought he was going to spear. You should have. You had it right there. No, Joey, this is a regular tag match, but they are starting a little bit late in the actual spot. So I said, not only did they not catch Jay, they swatted him away. Yeah, pretty much. Awkward, difficult. Juan says, I'd rather they bring in Beyonce, at least she's charismatic. And Cal says, can we get Roman's trainers on a pole match? One stipulation we've not seen. Stipulation is a word I've been trying to look for, and I've only just remembered it. One stipulation we've not seen is anything on a pole. Like, the last time I think we had the pole was the kendo stick on a pole match, and Bayley did not survive that very well. Eric says, I hope this match takes a while because I'm working for pretty much 1 more hour and I really want to see this Charlotte, Alexa versus Judgment Day match. I think he'll be fine. Roman's definitely going to take his time with this one. I suspect it's going to be at least quarter 2 before the match finishes. There will be shorter matches to come. God, Roman is just getting destroyed at the minute. Bayley, we have to be careful about putting people on poles. The important question is, where is the pole? And are they comfortable with it? Did they consent to it being there? If so, each their own. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. I don't want to kink shame. But we still have to ask the important question. Jordan, the reason people hold the tag string is because technically a tag is not legal unless they are holding the string. It is designed to keep them in the corner so that they can't, for example, tag out on a corner that is not a legal corner in use for the match. It also tells the performers, in case they're not aware of where they are in the ring, where the hard cam is. No, Joey, I don't. There's a number of wrestlers in this event who like shorter matches. CM Punk and Gunther, for example, like shorter matches. There's a number of women's matches, which WWE typically has as shorter. I would imagine Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill will not go longer than 13, 15 minutes, that sort of area. Cal says, Roman opening SummerSlam shocked me. It's what I expected. The general rule for Roman is if he's not main eventing, he'll open. And that is exactly what we're seeing. The only exception is if Becky Lynch is not main eventing. She also wants to open. Becky Lynch and Roman work exactly the same because Seth Rollins also works exactly the same. They learn from the same people. You'll note that, as expected, Jey Uso is going to get beat up a lot. That's kind of his purpose here. I think he might be there to take the pin, but more importantly, he's there to build to the Roman Reigns hot tag. Despite the fact that he was recently World Heavyweight Champion, and in fact, more recently than Roman has been a World Champion, he will still do the dirty work for his cousin. The point of this match, more than anything, is Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. However, with the introduction of the shoes, I do kind of expect that Roman gets his shoes back. Which leads us to Roman Reigns pinning Bronson Reed. It's amazing how little things like, oh, there's some shoes, can directly affect your prediction in that moment. Joey says, I kind of wish we got a singles match with Roman and Bron. That's definitely coming. The Spear versus Spear is a match that they cannot ignore. I feel like they're actually trying to push it back to WrestleMania now, though. Joey says it feels like Jey Uso gets thrown into every tag team. I wouldn't go that far. The Usos, obviously. Tagging with Roman also makes sense as Bloodline. The Cody Rhodes one was interesting, though. I'll give you that. Cal says Jay joins the list of people winning the belt once, having a short reign, and then never winning it back. It's been like 2 months, mate. Calm down. It's been like 2 months. Never is a long time. Bailey says shoes of a champion. I mean, you've got championship belts. Why not have championship shoes? Cal says I think Bron and Bronson losing will hurt their faction a lot, to be honest. Unless, of course, Seth Rollins is going to become the World Heavyweight Champion tonight. Someone at some point told Bron Breakker he has to talk a lot more, and he took that personally. Breakker's a very confident man. He's also apparently very good at calling matches in the ring, something that Triple H has been encouraging. Bron Breakker's very comfortably reactive. He can roll with it, if you get what I mean. I don't know what that move was supposed to be. Every now and then when someone introduces a new move, I just get confused by it. Like, what are you going for there? Okay, now that makes sense as to what they were going for. Jey Uso didn't do that, though. One says, are we going to see 9 belts money, or will she lose all of them before she wins the top title from Timeless Tony? She won't lose all of them. She'll maybe lose some of them, but she won't lose all of them. I don't blame promotions for this, by the way. This is not money asking for the belt. It's promotion saying, hey, if you can work for us, we'll give you a belt. They know she's a draw. Okay, so I think we were supposed to get our first broken table. It did not happen. It did not even come close. Is that table solid? I would like that. Paul Heyman is not looking best pleased. They probably need to check on him because I'd imagine that was supposed to go down. Eric says, I know Bron tried with the NFL. Was he drafted? I'm not sure. Not sure. Oh, clever. Well played, everyone involved there. They are really building to that hot tag now. His knee seems to be fine, Bron Breakker, although he has severely damaged his knee pad. Oh no, he's fine. He's fine. That's what knee pads are for. The grab, the pull, it's just A work of art right there. Juan says, TK said he knew the AEW Women's Tag Team titles on... He put the Tag Team titles on hold because of injury. Looks like Money's wish came true. AEW's Women's Tag Team titles. Brilliant. Well, Money did say when she first joined the division that she wanted to ensure greater opportunities for women. A set of Tag Team Championships would certainly increase the likelihood of opportunities, because you no longer have to have only one women's match and it's a one-on-one. You can afford to add another 4 women to the card minimum. What about another 6 women? You can end up with 8 women on the card instead of 2. There's opportunities there. Jey Uso with the Rock's float over DDT. It's very awkward when, without Roman Reigns in the corner, and then they cut to a camera angle where just Roman's just stood there. Jey Uso copying from The Rock is a weird thing to put in there. Like, there's clearly a tease of something bigger. And Roman and Bron Breakker are in. This is the match the WWE wants to tease you with. This is what they want you to want. And I gotta be honest. Yeah? No, I want it. I ain't saying otherwise. I want it. The fact that Bron Breakker is just in the ring with a Roman Reigns right now tells you how big a career this guy is going to have. The WWE are going to push this guy. They're going to make sure he is the top name that you've got. Interesting, Sai. Interesting. Are we going to get a Roman Reigns dive? We don't see a lot of Roman Reigns dives anymore. We're going to get a Roman Reigns dive. He does it Undertaker style. Oh, he really did do Undertaker style. He cleared them. He cleared them and saved himself with a roll because he had to. He is not okay. He cleared them completely. And that's when he noticed. Oh, okay. He didn't actually activate the roll. Bronson Reed essentially accidentally suplexed him out of midair in order to try and save him. Which, to be clear, he did. I think that was Bronson Reed. I couldn't see what Bron Breakker was doing. So I privately pointed out that was actually on him, not them, for missing the catch. Yeah, he cleared them. There's nothing they could have done. In fact, I would say that they still managed to get hold of him and ensure that his head was protected. I give them immense credit for that, because what a dive. Randy Orton would be furious. Bailey with the research, thank you kindly, says Bron Breakker was an undrafted free agent and was cut in the 2020 NFL preseason. Brock Lesnar once tried out for the NFL at the age of 27, having not played football in 10 years and nearly made the league. People do love a Brock Lesnar. Bron Breakker is very firmly his replacement in WWE eyes, though. Raises a very fair question. If you've got a Bron Breakker, why would you need a Brock Lesnar? I'm going to stand by that till the end of time. Jey Uso's back on, which suggests to me we're heading into the end game here. Oh, lovely. Bronson Reed hasn't necessarily had much opportunity to look good here. Like, he's been heavily involved, yes, but he hasn't really... There we go. He hasn't really delivered any sustained beatdowns. Yeah, 21 years ago is a long time, Bailey. A long time. The fact that they keep highlighting that Bronson Reed is young tells me he might be taking a few pins in the near future. It's not a compliment to give someone, is it? Is Bronson Reed going to do a dive? He's not going to do a dive. Nope, he did a dive. Oh! Can I say, there's been 3 dives in this match. They've all gone wrong. All of them. Nobody's doing the dives right. Is there just too much spring in the ring? Oh, lovely. Okay, you know what's a good dive? That's a good dive. You had more momentum than he expected, but that was a good dive. Sean says, hello, Tom. Welcome, Sean. Good to see you. We're watching SummerSlam. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Bron Breakker continuing to look good, but neither of them seem very interested in winning the match. Also, the tarp behind the SummerSlam sign looked really bad in that moment. They need to be careful not to show too much of that. Why is Bron Breakker up top? That ain't your game. That ain't your game. Sean says, I'm surprised Roman's match is opening. Figured it would be the women's tag team title match or Randy and Jelly Roll versus Logan and Drew. There was no intention for any of those. If Roman doesn't main event, he opens. That's typically the note. Relatively fast kick out by Jay. Wade Barrett saying, could it have been any later? Yeah, it could have been much later. Or he did hit Roman in the face. And then that's a bit of an uncontrolled drop. Roman's taking a beating today. Sai says, trivia note, this stadium holds the World Cup, hosts the World Cup final next year. Still an ugly pile of bricks. America's really benefiting from the world right now, aren't they? Sean says, do you think Becky opens night 2? I certainly think it could be. I think there are some good options for it. I personally might go with the women's triple threat instead. Rhea Ripley in it. Rhea bloody Ripley. Bailey says, WWE doesn't get enough credit for superb camera work. This is when it starts to turn around. Oh, a spear through the barricade? Have they changed the angle of barricade? It's the same bit of barricade, it always is, but they changed the angle to try and sell it different. So I said the arena opposite, while much older, is great. I went to the Mania after Raw there and had the loudest pop ever for Dolph Ziggler. It's a real shame they couldn't maintain that. A real shame. Sean, I have not really been able to see the promo in full because of unfortunate limitations on my day. I had other stuff I had to do. But no, I don't see a world in which John Cena is a face now. That does not make sense to me. Bronson Reed, remembering he's a Pokemon, and he has to say his name before he does anything else. Bailey says, what's also notable is that you almost never see a camera angle where another camera is in view. They know what they're doing. They essentially cut off the ring so that they're always shooting the same direction as hard cam. There will be occasions where they don't, but at that point they make sure to go into a close-up. So says Roman's really struggling with his pants. Yeah, he's kind of Ronda Rousing it a bit. Not yet? No, yeah. Oh, okay. Like, people are not allowed to kick out of the 3D. That's the rule of the Dudley Boys. And of course he didn't. Bron Breakker got back involved. Bronson Reed is the most wide-eyed he could possibly be there. We're once again going a bit tornado tag. And you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm absolutely fine with it. I think the ref letting it go has only been beneficial for the match. Bron Breakker standing tall. The crowd seem to be responding well to him, though. I mean, I hear boos, but people look like they were getting behind the guy. Someone on hardcam now was just shouting at him. Haven't seen much of Paul Heyman in this match. Why are you putting your... Okay. The fans responded really well to him putting the singlet back on so they could take it back off again. I quite enjoyed that. So his spear is known to be devastating. There was no chance he was going to hit his target. Roman Reigns saving him. Jay's spear is not good enough to pick up a win. It's just not. It feels like our win. I don't think that will be. I don't think the splash is going to be. Oh, it is. Fair enough. I expected Roman to get it. The giveaway there, unfortunately, was the shoes. Roman was always going to find a way to get his shoes back. And in order to do that, he'd have to win the match. An unhappy Paul Heyman retreats very quickly. This does suggest to me that we are going to see Seth Rollins this weekend. To just get the heat back quickly. It's the obvious choice. So I said a nice opener. I'd say 7 out of 10 for that. The botch dives make me queasy. I think it was relatively paint by numbers. The dives they struggled with. There's a few spots that weren't great. We've seen the spear through the barrier about 1,000 times now. I don't necessarily think it was the right winner. I'm going to give it a 6. Match was decent quality. I think Jay and Roman both did well and acted well as a team. Not enough focus on Bronson Reed. He was kind of forgotten about there. I'm giving it a 6. I do respect Roman's attempts to sell that spear, though. He stayed down for the rest of it. Bailey says 6 out of 10, not very memorable. Jordan also says 6 out of 10, did the job, but nothing special, which I agree with. So I said I gave it a bonus point for not having LA Knight. The man's not a fan. Oh, did not know that about you, Sai. Also, can't blame you. Sai has a surgically repaired neck. Botch dives, not good for him. Can I have me a lozenge to help me out with my throat? I'm certainly better than I was yesterday. That takes us to 45 minutes in, which is kind of when I expected this match to finish. 5 matches still to go. But this first one, as we know, did finish 20 minutes later than we expected. Now, if you're watching on Peacock, you're probably about to see an ad. You're going to get a lot of ads on Peacock. You just can't get rid of them. Oh, that does sound fun, airport security. Okay, and that's the last we're going to see of Roman for a while. Right, so I've got a clip there of Roman's dive. Gonna upload that. Roman Reigns clears Bron Breakker And Bronson Reed. Accidentally. Roman Reigns. Clears. Braun Breaker. My phone does not like the word breaker, which does not surprise me because it's not technically a word. Highlights always does well as a phrase on TikTok. So SummerSlam 2025 highlights. Let's see how that does. Eric says face team win. Did he get his shoes back? He didn't yet. But give it time, because I feel confident that he will. Maybe that'll be the big storyline for the next 2 months. All about Roman's shoes. Next match is going to be an interesting one. I would expect Sami versus Kross or something like that. Women's Championship to be the semi-main event. We'll find out in a moment, I'm sure. Ain't no rush. Okay, this is a slow look at the crowd. Why are we buying time? Okay, Drewski. Now, I've got to be honest, I misread that and thought his name was Drugski. It was confusing. They just cut to someone that they shouldn't have. We've been praising their camera work. Little botch there. Breland. Okay, got it. I didn't really hear his performance for America the Beautiful. For what I feel is an obvious reason. I don't really care about America the Beautiful. Marcel gives the match a 7 as well. Okay. I always get confused by the people who are told you're going to be on TV, get hype. How do they make them behave? That's a camera botch. Next up will in fact be our Women's Tag Team Championships. Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez will take on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. That graphic is all over the place and moving and doesn't look well rendered. I don't know if maybe it's my TV, if it's the overall quality. Something has gone wrong there. I don't expect this match to last very long. Especially given that we've just had a tag team match. They need to make sure this one's very different, and that means we can't just have a sustained beatdown again. Logically, Raquel versus Charlotte is going to be one pairing, whereas Alexa versus Roxanne is going to be the other pairing. They're the best fits for each other. If we were playing 2K25, those are the pairings you'd make. The overall intention here, of course, is to make Charlotte Flair a face. Is to make people cheer for Charlotte Flair by associating her with Alexa. And so far, that's been working very well. But it's always worth mentioning that in the back of all of this, Roxanne Perez has walked away with Liv Morgan's championship. And I feel losing it on the first serious defense could really set things off. I don't know how this is going to go. My prediction is Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair leaving with the championships, simply because they are huge names in the industry. Huge names. It'd be a surprise for me. Sean says, if Charlotte and Alexa don't win, do you see Charlotte turning on Alexa or vice versa? No. They've only just started. They've only just started. The intention is to get Charlotte cheered. immediately turning Charlotte back heel is massively contradictory. Not to say that WWE hasn't done stupid things before, but hey. Joey says, I feel like this Charlotte tag team is some of the best work she's done. I also think, fan-wise, it's some of the lowest expectations. Fans are not coming into this thinking, oh, Charlotte's going to win the world title. There are other titles now that she could win and help develop. When John Cena returned and won the US Championship way back when, he really made that championship matter, and the fans were behind him when he did it because he wasn't interfering with the top championships. This is working for Charlotte Flair. Keep it going. Bailey said the ad that ran on Peacock was Dominic Mysterio eating a big plate of wings. Sometimes that's all you need. Eric, I have less than 3 title changes, personally. So I seem to have the other direction. I also said this Charlotte Alexa team is as close as WWE will ever get to wholesome. It feels like it's been done for one person's welfare, but it's really working. Yeah, I think WWE have struggled to be anything but transparent here. This is for Charlotte. This is for Charlotte's rehabilitation, and this is because Alexa is genuinely trying to help her friend. This has been difficult in the past because Alexa has been very close friends with Nia Jax. Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair are definitely not friends. So Alexa Bliss has burned some bridges here to help Charlotte, which, as you might expect, is having a positive impact on Charlotte Flair. I've mentioned previously, Charlotte right now does not have a lot of friends backstage. Alexa Bliss has never let her down. Marcel says, who do you have, Tom? I have new champs in this match. I also have new champs in this match. Sean says, Alexa's first match at SummerSlam since 21 when she faced Eva Marie. Let's try and forget that match. I already did. Yes, Sean, Alexa and Athena were quite close. They've not really spent much time together recently, for what I feel are obvious reasons. They did some D&D together before. With Freddie Prinze Jr., who Alexa Bliss is also quite close to. Alexa Bliss has a personal friend of Sarah Michelle Gellar as well. Alexa Bliss has a very strong future as a celebrity influencer. Whatever she wants to do. She could retire tomorrow and still make millions. Honestly, sometimes it amazes me that she still chooses to wrestle when she definitely does not have to. She loves this. I like that they're trying the dual entrance, but it's not quite working for them. They look good together. You can tell they're actually just enjoying themselves. If you remember when the Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley tag team started, way back when, it's because they've been paired up as baby faces to be a part of a, I think 8-woman tag team match. And they were told, we're going to go to you backstage, just look like you like each other. So what they did was Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley just complimented each other's outfit. And then they forgot they were on camera and kept doing it. And then someone turned up with a microphone. They were like, oh, shit, right, focus. Because they got on so well in that moment, the tag team happened, the feud happened, and the first championship reign for Liv Morgan happened. Little moments like that can go a long way. Sai says Alexa versus Eva Marie was certainly no Melina versus Alicia Fox. Thankfully, Sai, I was not watching during that time, and I don't think I've checked back on that particular feud. It's definitely not matching gear, but design-wise, it's not matching gear. Again, Judgment Day theme doesn't feel very good. When you look back to when Edge first brought in Judgment Day, that music was very different and very fun, and now we have this. Was it Sai? Is that what it was? I feel confident that it wasn't. Yes, Sean, I believe that was Alexa and Nikki Cross back in the day. Joey says Roxanne has done a really good job taking Liv Morgan's place in the Judgment Day. I agree. I think maybe there's a bit too much overlap at times, but Roxanne is a little more insidious, which is working for her. I think in reality, there is a reason that Roxanne is overlapping quite neatly with Liv Morgan's personality, because when Liv Morgan does return, she won't have that personality anymore. I think there is a big face push coming for Liv Morgan, and Roxanne Perez is how it happens. Sean says, I don't see how Roxanne fits the Judgment Day. I think she fits it perfectly. She doesn't fit the Judgment Day that was Edge, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley. She doesn't fit any of that. She definitely fits a Judgment Day that's led by Dominic Mysterio. In every way, she fits that. So I says, no, really, one of the tough enough characters was asked for her greatest match I'd ever seen. That was her answer. I still wake up laughing to Stone Cold's reaction. I need to check that then. That sounds fun. Okay, we are starting, it looks like, with Alexa and Roxanne. I don't think Charlotte's going to be very comfortable with the design of her outfit because she's not double strapped. Hello, Martin. Good to see you, mate. Welcome to the show. We're approaching midnight. You've only missed one match of SummerSlam so far. Took us a moment, but it is in fact Roxanne Perez beating on Alexa Bliss. As I say, there are dedicated pairings here, and while there will be crossover, there will be times when Roxanne is beating up Charlotte, there will be times when Raquel is being beaten up by Alexa. By and large, it will still be the smaller pair and the bigger pair. I don't necessarily expect to see singles matches between Charlotte and Raquel too much, because Charlotte can overpower Raquel. She's one of the only people who should be able to stand toe-to-toe. But that's not what they want to do with Raquel right now. They want to build Raquel. They want to push her as a monster, much as they're doing right now. And a large part of doing that is making sure that she's not facing off against people who make her look small. I'm interested in the height comparison. Charlotte's been fighting from the bottom a bit more than she has done recently. Raquel Rodriguez kind of fits the bill to be her opponent with that in mind. It's not often Charlotte Flair is ever an underdog. It's why she needed to feud with people like Nia. And the opportunity just never quite arrived. Never quite arrived. Nicely done. I like some of the combinations. I also like that Raquel provides the exclamation mark. That's an interesting move. I also pretty sure Roxanne has already laddered her tights. Oh, completely. On both sides. They are not good tights. I was going to say, the last tag team match did feature a long, sustained beatdown of Jey Uso. They're going to need to do a little more here to keep it interesting. Keep it different. I find it interesting that building to Alexa as a hot tag, to the point that I think it might actually be false. And they're actually going in the other direction. There's a couple of people trying to start a "Let's Go Charlotte" chant. It is not working. Sean says, I don't know how trustworthy they are, but Betfair has Cody and Lyra winning on night 2. They're a betting site. There is no trustworthy or non-trustworthy. They do bets. They don't report news. It just means that people have put a lot of money on that happening. I have neither of them. Alexa getting a good reaction from the fans. Again, she's in the ring with Roxanne Perez. I was kind of waiting for if this was the Royal Rumble. Oh, nearly got the pin there. Something went wrong. Roxanne did that wrong. Something's happened. Oh, going for the eyes. I'm kind of expecting at some point Roxanne to take it to the next level and start using the Oblivion. Oh, that took very good timing. Like, a lot of things happened there very quickly. That took very good timing. Oh, nice kick. Not known for a kicks, Alexa. I think Bliss has recognised that the fans are a little restless here. They're responding well to the impact. It's just making it happen. Bailey says, do you see Liv versus Roxanne at Mania? I think that could be a good one. I think that could work. I also think potentially we'll actually see a tag match, but I don't necessarily know who I think the remaining member will be. Like, I could see Raquel picking a side, but I don't necessarily know who will be on the other side. Could it be, for example, Liv Morgan and Julia or something like that? Or someone with a bit more pedigree, someone more experienced at this point. Liv Morgan and Bailey? There's options. Okay, there's some nice combinations here. We've swapped the build now. Now we're building to a Charlotte hot tag. Considering they've wrestled a few times now, Roxanne and Alexa don't seem to have the natural chemistry just yet. There's a few things Roxanne is doing which Alexa doesn't seem to be reading too well. A few hits that Alexa will land which seem out of nowhere. I feel like this rest hold is for a reset. Just a moment to communicate and say, hey, this isn't quite working, is it? Let's try something else, shall we? I don't think we'll really start to see the Mania card combine properly until Survivor Series. Typically, Survivor Series is a jumping off point. That's when you know who's going to win the Royal Rumbles. At this point, WWE actually won't be certain who's going to win the Rumble. Certainly my opinion that it might be Aleister Black seems to be going out of the window rapidly. What are you going for there, Raquel? Okay. Nope, I thought that was supposed to be a code red. Okay, once again, she's having to roll really quickly to get away from this stuff. You're asking a lot of Alexa Bliss. And again, Roxanne just sort of dives on her. Maybe the production wasn't great. Maybe it is chemistry. Just, again, you've slapped her, you grabbed her. You could have just grabbed her. Bailey says the entire match seems awkward. Oh, I won't say everything. There's certainly some good moments in here. That looked painful. Oh, I hate that spot. I just feel like this is one of those matches when everyone's going to come out of it with bruises. Like, you haven't built up Charlotte as much as I think you should have done. No worries, Martin. Always happy to see you, mate. Always happy to see you. Charlotte has now been tagged in. She's doing the full-scale beatdown. The match continues to sort of lack momentum. Raquel really had to read that and slow down. I always find it interesting that Charlotte's heel offense is exactly the same as her face offense. Most wrestlers vary it. Alexa Bliss as a face, for example, has added a few more strings to her bow. A bit more high-flying, routine like that. Whereas Charlotte is exactly the same person. She did the kip-up as a heel. You don't do that. Something's got to go wrong with moonsault. Double knees? No, they just took it. They just took it. They just took it. Crowd's into this, though. That was actually a very nice moonsault. You cannot be going for a submission with Roxanne right there. That's not smart. Good camera work hiding Roxanne's return. Nothing of Bliss for the moment, but I can see Raquel holding her knee. I don't think she's going to tap. I can't see that happening. I think potentially Roxanne's going to be pinned. If it goes the other way, I have no idea. Given the choice, would you see Alexa pinned or Charlotte pinned? Oh, okay. I always get confused by chains and things which have your own name on them. Firstly, are you going to forget? Is it there to remind you? Secondly, you can't see it, so even if you do forget, it's kind of not your problem. Okay, so this, that's a finisher, but Alexa's still there. I was going to say, Alexa's still there. Also, is Pop Rocks just the Code Red, and is that why Alexa Bliss was going to do the Code Red earlier, but didn't? Zelina Vega's finisher was also a Code Red. So, Roxanne might have stopped two people using a move. And, of course, Raquel working as the big guy. The big guys always have to beat themselves, so yeah, spear to the post. Alexa can't reach her. She's too small. She can't reach her. And the match continues. Oh, that could have worked. We are back to Alexa Roxanne. Oof, that looked good. She's in Abigail stance. This was a good moment for Charlotte to spear Raquel. Do the move, do the move, do the move. Big boot's fine. Go for the finish. And we've got new champs. That was the That was the Bray Wyatt pointing so that Roman speared someone off camera moment. Like, they were teasing, I'm going to turn on you, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people did fall for it. A lot of people during spoiler warning thought that was going to happen. Interesting that even Michael Cole has an odd sequence at the end. So I think they did add enough to keep it interesting. I'm going to give that a 6, the same as the first match. There was a little more intrigue, there was a little more character development and personality in that one, even though I think the wrestling was a little more stunted and a little more awkward. I think the storytelling was pretty solid. I'm happy with the combination. I think Roxanne got a lot of attention, even if she didn't necessarily come out of it looking great. I think Judgment Day looked pretty bad there in the end. But the focus was on Alexa. The focus was on Charlotte. And the fact is, Roxanne can now be blamed for losing gold for Judgment Day. Meanwhile, Charlotte Flair's just won another championship. And for once, everyone's fine with it. Everyone's fine with it. That's good camera work. Eric, it is. So it says Q shoot tears. 6 out of 10 from me too. Jordan also gives it a 6. Bailey gives it a 6. Marcel gives it a 6. Lots of 6 out of 10s. Nothing spectacular, but above average. Which, so far, I've got to say, for SummerSlam, nothing spectacular, but above average. Oh god, it's a Papa John's ad. This is what's happening to the New Day now. I would laugh if this is how they're adding a new match to SummerSlam. Oh hey, I remember Nikki Bella. Apparently the doctor said that her implant was doing alright. It had in fact moved, but they shifted it back. So many people in the background of that just weren't involved at all. Oh, the New Day grieving the tag division. The death of the Raw tag division. It's a whole thing. I stand by their efforts. Wow, there are seats in front of just a whole block of cases. That is terribly put together. Bailey says, any actual news on what is happening with Austin Theory? He's actively injured. And what's actually happening is, no, that's pretty much it. They just kind of gave up on their intentions and moved on. He's not considered important enough to really factor into their plans. That's ruined my hair completely. What is going on there? What is going on there? Sean says, are we sure Dominic is leader of Judgment Day, Tom? I've never said Dominic was leader of Judgment Day. I said Dominic Mysterio's Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez, fits very nicely. Yeah, I can give some context to that side. The New Day were missing from the Hogan stage tribute. The New Day did not accept Hulk Hogan's apology and were assured by WWE that they would never have to appear alongside or work with him. This was WWE attempting to honour that in a respectful manner. They, particularly Xavier Woods, was very open and very honest about the fact that he never accepted Hogan's apology. And while he's certainly not happy that anyone has died, he's also not particularly aggrieved. Sean says, I believe Becky and Rhea weren't present for it either. If Seth was fit, I'd imagine you wouldn't see him too. A lot of moving parts on that one, but I think the best way we can really describe it is that the intention was to make sure that people were listened to with their views and their issues, while not making it too blatant that that's why they were absent. Next up, we have Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. I honestly think this is a match I'm least excited for. But it will be telling. Has Karrion Kross signed a new deal? If so, surely he's sticking around. And surely a win here will take him to that. Let's see what the fans do. Because I will say the fans have a chance to convince the WWE to change their minds here. What can you do, fandom? What can you do? Sean thinks Bron will cash in for Seth. I don't think you can cash in like that. I mean, if he's winning the championship, then he wins the championship, surely. I also feel I should point out Scarlett does her best. Camera's way too low. You should never show the crawl. Fiend says Kross didn't get the loudest pop, but he did get a pop, which is true. I don't think it's going to make a difference. It's not loud. They've left a gap there to prove that it's not loud. Whoa, let's go. Sean says, what do you think of SummerSlam so far? For me, it's not good at all. I think it's okay. That's all I can really say. I think it's been okay. Which isn't a huge compliment, because it shouldn't be a huge compliment. At best, it's been average. I'm happy with some results. This match is not going to improve the situation, I don't think. This, as I've mentioned, will tell us more about Karrion Kross's contract. That's kind of it from this one. Bailey says, could Bron lay out both members of the match for Seth to limp in and get the pin? I think he could, and I honestly think that would be a good way to do it. The match is close to finish. Both Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker get involved. Seth comes out with his crutches. Embarrassing CM Punk. That would be funny. I don't think they do that to Gunther, but I definitely think they do that to CM Punk. Fiend says there are more releases coming. Typically now is not a time when they release people. Nick says, I remember when Karrion wasn't even on TV around WrestleMania time. Now he's on SummerSlam. Kross was on the WrestleMania card. Like, he didn't wrestle, but he appeared. He appeared with AJ Styles. Drive-by says Bron Breakker was seen limping out of his match. Hopefully to sell. Fiend says too many tags on night one. Card could have been booked for each night better. Bailey says if SummerSlam, was a one-night event, none of these first 3 matches would be on the card. I mean, Roman. It's Roman, isn't it? Joey says hopefully Kross works more offense. We'll find out. Nick says if Seth is injured, wouldn't he have to relinquish the title? I mean, I hope so. Again, I don't think any of this is happening. Sean says if Seth does cash in, what title will he go for? If hypothetical happens, what actuality will happen? Can't answer that. Fiend says the set is rather disappointing. It just screams uncreative. They don't really do creative sets anymore, do they? There's nothing really making anything stand out anymore. It's all much of a muchness. There's nothing particularly special in any of the designs. WWE don't really put the effort in. It's disappointing. It's genuinely disappointing. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you for that. Fiend says it makes more sense for Seth to cash in on Cody, on Cena and Cody. Does it? I think it makes the most sense for him not to cash in at all because he's injured. But certainly that first match result made me question it. Okay, so we've got a Let's Go Sami versus Let's Go Kross chant. That's good for Kross. Like, Kross cannot complain after this that he wasn't given opportunities. He wasn't given a chance to get over. He has been featured regularly. He has been getting matches. This is a big spot for him. Unfortunately, his offense is kind of Scott Steiner when he was facing off against Triple H. Kind of repetitive. Not really going to earn you a lot of pops. And kind of slow. I don't think he's developed, is I think the issue that WWE are having. They want more from him. They want him to grow. They want him to establish himself. They want him to connect. What they're hearing from him is that he doesn't want anything to change, apart from his name, and he thinks that will get him what he needs. So yeah, a lot of the blame's going to him. Okay, another suplex. Maybe a Suplex City gimmick would work for him. Language. I would also say his voice is strangely very similar to Paul Heyman's. I don't know what it is. Sean, historically my favourite wrestler has always been Triple H. I like the bad guys. Bailey says, I think WWE takes a dim look at performers who don't seek to change. This is kind of what I'm saying. They're looking for evolution. They're looking for someone who's pushing to take it to the next level. They're looking for someone who can cut a promo on their phone and get half the crowd. That's a lot of people just going to concessions. I think I just saw a woman crying being escorted out by a friend. A lot going on. A lot of movement in the crowd, I think, is what I was trying to say there. Investment in this match is not too high. Christopher Leclerc, and I'm going to correct this, so let me know if I say it wrong. Roxanne Perez now has 23 losses in 2025. And yes, still in a strong position. Oh, it's a suplex. Dangerous suplex, but a suplex nonetheless. Sean says, I hope CM Punk wins. And do you think CM Punk is due to win a belt anytime soon? No, I don't. We'll see how it actually goes, because certainly I've been wrong before. But when it comes to CM Punk, the WWE seem to be quite enjoying keeping him away from the belt for a while. This will, of course, mean that absence makes the heart grow fonder. It will just continue to build up and build up. This match really isn't going to be long, is it? Scarlett has provided Karrion Kross with a length. Always confuse me. You're busy distracting the referee, and then the second your boyfriend gets hit, you just stop. It's real weird. So the pipe is technically still in play, but I don't think it's in the ring anymore. Scarlett could, of course, just bring it back out again. She has options. Marcel says, if Seth cashes in, if the Seth cash-in happens, do you see it happening tonight or tomorrow? If hypothetical happens, what is the result going to be? I can't respond to hypotheticals. You guys know this. We don't do if-then here. Scarlett seems to have moved around the ring towards the pole again. I don't know, Sami losing his temper suggests that Kross might be picking up the win here. Maybe this is how we get a Sami heel turn. If this ends in a DQ finish, I swear to God. I see what they're going for. I don't hate it. Fiend says, I hope WWE starts pushing Carmelo Hayes. He's too good to be underutilized. In your opinion, Fiend, and this is a genuine question, who would you drop to make room for Carmelo Hayes? Sean says, if Seth is really hurt, there's no sense to cash in because he'll not be able to defend it. Yeah, we all agree on that. We all agree that an injured person should not be a world champion. I think throwing the pipe away was the end of this. This match really isn't going to be long. Kevin, the matches were okay. The matches were okay. Nothing more than that. And I think that might be the end of Karrion Kross, guys. That was decisive. Kross seemed a little heartbroken. Genuinely, particularly in the corner. Like, Kross said something to Zayn, which could be trying to continue it. Bailey, yes, I'd say going out on his back. I think that might be goodbye Karrion Kross. They tried something, but yeah, Jordan, you're absolutely right. I'm giving that match a 4. It was short. There was very little actual offense. Couple of suplexes. I was briefly intrigued by the storytelling. I don't think that belonged on SummerSlam. I don't think that belonged on SummerSlam. Now, there's little more to do here. There's got to be a whole you were right business happening. So we will be seeing Karrion Kross again. It just doesn't seem to me like he's sticking around. Fiend says, I'm predicting a phenomenal Intercontinental champ. Joey says, that was rough. Fiend says, they're not renewing his contract, are they? Jordan says, they didn't do Kross any favours and give the match a 5 out of 10. I personally have given it a 4. Sean says, it's over for Kross, I think. Fiend says booking didn't do him any favours in 23 or 24. Also says Julia versus Zelina should have been on SummerSlam given the match they had last night. I agree with that. I think they wanted to create an example here to say, hey, the WWE will give you opportunities, but you've got to meet us in the middle. I don't necessarily think Kross was willing to do so. Joey says, could have just left that on Raw. Juan says, Kross versus MJF would be amazing. Think of the promos. I mean, I get what you're going for. I don't think Kross is that good a promo. I think he's very good when he's scripted. I think he's very good when he plans ahead. I don't think he's necessarily a great promo, though. Sean said, I'm really disappointed. SummerSlam is not good at all. So far, I agree with you. It's been bad. Like it was average, and now it's getting worse. Kevin says, night 2, how many extreme matches are going to happen? Like 5. It's a lot. Technically, triple threats are extreme matches too, by nature. Joey says, this feels like night 1 of Mania so far. I think night 1 of Mania was better than this. Not by too much, because it was a disappointing start, but we are where we are. Juan says, Tom told us why Kross would lose 3 weeks ago. There is still time for a new deal to be signed, but it would require Kross to sign a deal he has repeatedly refused to sign. It is still on the table. It is not a great deal. Bailey says, what was the reason Scarlett never got in-ring opportunities? Because they saw her training. That's the reason. They watched her train and basically said, nah, not for me. Are we actually getting makeup? Interesting. Tiffany Stratton, I feel, is the obvious choice to front this. Fiend says, is he refusing to keep the Karrion Kross name? That is something he would have to agree to with signing. They want to keep the name Karrion Kross. He does not. Joey says, is Kross not happy with the money or creative control? Just to be clear, nobody in wrestling has creative control. This is a complete fallacy. Nobody in wrestling has creative control over everything that they do. It's complete garbage. The vast majority of wrestlers have no say whatsoever in anything that their characters do. That includes Karrion Kross. Kevin says, for Karrion Kross, WWE, not the end of the world. Go bet on yourself. Yeah, I agree. Go out there and make stuff happen. Sean says, there is matches that should not be on SummerSlam. That last one, I agree. Rob, yes, I've been sharing quite a lot during spoiler warning about Karrion Kross's contract. One says, Karrion Kross potentially leaving over the Killer Kross name reminds of the Mercedes Money name rejected by Nick Khan. Tom also reported that Nick Khan believes in branding. He really believes in branding. And a lot of other people do not. Mercedes Money also believes in branding. She believes that her branding is the right branding. And when it comes to the fact that it's her branding, I kind of agree with her. He wanted a Sasha Banks name. She did not. Basically, they didn't want to get rid of the old merch. Kross does not get that pull. Fiend. Kross doesn't have anywhere near that pull. Well, Kevin, yes, I have creative control because this is my business and it's my channel. I can do whatever the hell I want here. They're loud at times, Sean. They're loud at times. There's a few pops. That's Joe Hendry. That's Joe Hendry, who officially is not currently signed to a WWE deal. That's interesting. Robin Dave says, you think we have Seth Rollins show up tonight to screw Punk? Dunno. We'll find out. Fiend says, do you think Aleister Black will fill the void that Kross might potentially leave? No. No, I don't think Aleister Black wants to be that character. I don't think Karrion Kross really wanted to be that character. We were waiting for the evolution and it still hasn't quite happened. As I say, it's not necessarily completely no chance. There is still a possibility that a contract can be signed because there is still a contract on the table. It's up to Kross what he does now. I feel like this ad features one wrestling fan. Just the one. We have one person actually excited and the other person just sort of happens to be there. Surprise seat upgrade. Sure. Robin Dave says, I don't think Jade is ready for a main title. Well, the only way she can prove you wrong is by winning a main title. And now's her chance. I do think we're going to get Naomi involved here. I think Tiffany Stratton leaves with the gold. Though I do think it sort of opens up the options going into WrestleMania if she does not leave with the gold. This is an interesting one because just after WrestleMania I was reporting that they were building towards Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton. You'll remember. I reported on the build to this because WWE were pushing it pretty hard. Nia Jax and Naomi were still involved, but this was the push. This is what they were building for. This was planned for SummerSlam before WrestleMania. So I'm interested to see what the end result is going to be. Naomi and the responses to her have sort of taken the WWE by storm. They've been pleasantly surprised by the response to and the impact of Naomi. Hence the championship going in her direction. The big wild card here is still Bianca Belair. So, I don't know how this goes. I feel like the obvious choice would have been for Naomi to cash in here. If Naomi cashed in here to win the championship, she stays on the same brand. Instead, they've swapped sides, which, I don't know, there's just... I think it was a good call. Nobody saw it coming, primarily because the obvious choice was the obvious choice. But I don't know. I also feel Tiffy time is sort of running out. She doesn't feel like a big deal anymore. I feel like she does need to lose the championship and move on to her next chapter. She needs a period of growth, and it's difficult for her to do that as champion. I feel like she needs a few new people to work with, a few new ways to connect. Jade Cargill is not bringing the best out of Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is probably not bringing the best out of Jade Cargill. The biggest concern for me is that both of these women, both of them, work best with much more experienced talent around them. Both of them have done their best work with ring veterans, like Naomi, like Charlotte Flair, like Nia Jax, people who've worked in this industry for a very long time. I don't know what's about to happen. It could be magic. There's also a risk to factor in. So that's where we are. That's where we're headed. We're about to find out if Jade Cargill's development as a wrestler is in fact genuine. Joey says hopefully this match goes longer than 5 minutes. Fiend thinks Jade wins it. Kevin thinks Karrion Kross versus Sami should have been hair versus hair. And Fiend responds, bald Kross would have definitely had more aura than long-haired Kross. Juan says, I'd rather see Jade Cargill win. That way we can see if she can sink or swim. Jey Uso is a prime example. As regards Naomi winning the championship here, Fiend says, I think that was a plan until Liv got injured, which I get what you're saying, and I agree with that. Bayley says, I'm a little concerned about this match. Neither works that well in the ring. Fiend agrees with me that Tiffany can't evolve until she loses. Fiend would draft Tiffany to Raw. Joey says, I think Tiffany and Jade work better as heels. Sean says, Tiffany's not had that push since she had the title. I would definitely say she's been pushed. She's definitely been featured. She's regularly involved. She's been working against big names like Trish Stratus, like Charlotte Flair. She's been heavily involved with a lot of Nia Jax matches. She's been featured. She's just run into a bit of a wall. Not hearing a lot of response here. Fiend says, I think they had a pretty serviceable match after Mania. We're about to find out if they can take on this particular spotlight. As I say, they've been building to this for a while. Thank you, Juan. Appreciate you. It's a big opportunity. It's a big spotlight as well. And I would say WrestleMania was not a perfect match by any stretch. But it was intended to restart and reboot Jade Cargill. And for me, it succeeded in doing that. I have just spotted that the middle of the ring is no longer sponsored by Prime. And when you consider that the next match features Logan Paul, that feels awkward. Joey says the crowd has fallen asleep since the first match. Yeah, did they Roman too early? Juan, yes, there are still concerns. But this is why she's getting matches like this. They still think she's got a huge ceiling. But while she was ostensibly out injured, she was actually only out injured for a couple of weeks and then came back and practiced. It's a weird thing to say, Wade. That's a big pop for Tiffany Stratton. A nice initial pop. It's settled now. We'll see how it goes once they get in the ring. They're in a bit of a bad spot here, right in the middle of the show, and the show has not exactly been great so far. Puts extra pressure on their shoulders to deliver. Sean's rooting for Jade. Good stats there. 13-0 record. 7th title defense. They are sort of celebrating her title reign before it's come to an end, which might be telling. Fiend says the night one card was pretty weak overall. I would have definitely swapped some matches around. I'd imagine they're relying quite heavily on Randy Orton and CM Punk and the overall popularity and the names there. They're probably very glad Drew McIntyre's back. I can imagine there was a few panicked expressions when they didn't think they were going to have him. Crowd has gone very quiet. They're barely even shouting one fall anymore. Alicia Taylor might have the biggest hair in the world. If they can drum up some love here, get people into it. Jade just doing things to the camera there. I don't think we're far away from Jade Cargill getting some boos. Did they just show Cardi B? They probably shouldn't be showing Cardi B if she's not going to be involved in the finish. That's interesting. Again, good pop for Tiffany. Her star has definitely risen, and if this is the end of her championship reign, she's served the belt and the company very well. I agree, Fiend, but there is still plenty of time for people to develop. Bailey says it's difficult to succeed a legend, but Alicia Taylor has done quite well. Juan says maybe have Naomi come and cost Tiffany the title, then build a Naomi versus Jade title for title. Yeah, this has been mentioned before, but if yeah, you've had to explain that before. Fiend says Tiffany, as per usual, her gear is stunning and the colours are nice. That's a good shade of blue. She does design a lot of her own stuff. Very early to go for a cover. This match is going to be slow, isn't it? This match is going to be slow. Something just happened in the crowd and it wasn't related to the match. I think someone just got kicked out. There was a big cheer. Are the crowd finding their own entertainment? Because that wouldn't be good. Just push her to the floor. Okay, because the lights are on around me, I've got my ring light on, it's quite hot in here. My throat is starting to struggle, so I'm going to get me a lozenge again. Well done on the dive. I think she still got caught. I think her foot still got caught and that slowed her down a little bit, but she was still able to land where she wanted. And good catch. How do you struggle to get in the ring? Anyway. Juan says at least the crowd's not throwing beach balls. Cesaro is a wonderful man. That's all I'm going to say. Cesaro is a wonderful man. Erin says, hey, I hope the stream's been going well. It has indeed, Erin. Welcome. How are you enjoying SummerSlam so far? We're not loving it. We're not loving it. But hey, not long left. Nice from Jade. Sean says, do you think Cardi B will get involved in some type of form in the match? The fact that they zoomed in on her, it does suggest we might be seeing more of her. Fiend says, I don't blame the fans for throwing beach balls when WWE is very poor at that time. Kevin says, can we say putting Charlotte over Alexa Bliss, that was a good idea? And that was Alexa Bliss's idea. Erin just says, it's been. It's been. So for those unaware, Jade Cargill's Eye of the Storm move has been an AJ Styles move for 20 years. Although he does it on the other side. Bit of confusion there. Fans are getting loud, but I don't think it's in response to the match. Sean says, I'm very happy that Alexa has ended her PLE losing streak. I do hope this reign lasts longer than her last one, which was only 5 days. Fiend says, I'm tired of all the celebrities showing up. especially ones that don't actually give a shit about wrestling. Well, apparently Jelly Roll's very invested in this. The big problem, of course, is Travis Scott. But that was The Rock. No, I get what you're saying, though. I'm tired of celebrities showing up and just basically not caring. There's this Dwayne Johnson guy just keeps turning up for no reason, doing nothing, and WWE keeps pushing him for some reason. Bailey says, does WWE sweeten the crowd noise in these events? They can, and sometimes they do, but not usually for PLEs. It's more difficult to do because of the space between the crowd miking. I agree, Fiend. Tiffany's looking pretty smooth. I think they've both done well. Jade Cargill landed on her feet there. They've both done well. By and large, this is just the right amount of intense. Far too close to the ropes. Terrible pin. Her shoulder's not down. Oh, the terrible pin was intentional. Okay. Okay, the terrible pin was intentional. Cool. Okay. Sean, I've spoke on this. I don't see a world in which John Cena is a face this early. Erin says it's pretty mediocre. Sadly missed the women's tag, so I can't say anything about that. It was alright. Yeah, it was alright. Sean says, I've started watching Supernatural again, Tom, at the end of season 2. I only ever watched the season finale of season 4. It's a weird thing to say, but that's what happened. Fiend says, Tiffany Stratton in a few years will most likely be in Best Women's Wrestler of the Year categories. I think that, again, stop just pushing her on the floor. I think she has some very steep competition for that particular accolade. You look at what Io Sky and Rhea Ripley are doing right now, for example. You've got Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Bayley. You've got a lot of talent that she's joining and competing against. But hey, it's not impossible. This is clunky. This is clunky. Okay, the finish was smooth. The build was clunky. It's going to be a kick out, isn't it? Oh. 1, that was really short. 2, that was a clean win for Tiffany Stratton. And I've got to say, I was talking about her maybe needing to lose the championship to go to the next step. I did not expect what just happened. Even though, as I say, I expected Stratton to stay. What's happened? What has happened? What's happened? That was a clean and decisive win. They are not common. Is Cargill maybe injured? And that's why they've made the pivot that they did? That was a full-on momentum killer. Interesting. Jade looks genuinely upset. One says, according to Dustin Rhodes, he dropped the TNT title because of a massive invasive injury with a short reign, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, the older you get, the more risk you take for that. Agreed, Bailey. Erin says, I do, however, think Night 2 has a better potential of the two nights. Juan says, Jade lost clean, not good. Fiend says, Tiffany winning was the right call. She looked way better in that match than Jade did. I'd say they were relatively even, but yeah, a few too many just pushes to the ground. Jordan says, one of the better Jade Cargill matches I've seen. Clean loss of surprise, gives it 7 out of 10. I actually agree with that. While it was short, it was intense, it was action-packed. I'd give that a 7 as well. I do agree with Joey, though. They're a bit too short now. I feel like Triple H has been told he has to put 6 matches per night, and this is his revenge. Bayley gives it a 5 out of 10, so the paint by numbers match. I don't think that was paint by numbers. That is a firm loss for Jade Cargill. Fiend says we have like 2 matches left. I mean, we don't have like 2 matches left. We have 2 matches left. Aaron is wondering how much Jelly Roll can actually do. I don't think we're actually going to find out his limits. I think he's not going to be involved much at all here. One says 5 out of 10 only because they didn't protect Jade Cargill in the loss. A big star shouldn't be losing clean. Juan, I think that is very, very clearly saying to me that the WWE do not consider Jade Cargill a big star. Yeah. Marcel gives the match a 4. Joey says, I don't get why Triple H books these matches just to rush half of them. Kevin says, can we say so far this is a disappointment for night 1? I would agree with that. SummerSlam thus far is poor. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, this is going to be the worst SummerSlam ever, because there's been some sucky SummerSlams. But this has started poor. Aaron says I'd give it a 6 myself. I would suspect that so far my rating for SummerSlam is a 4 out of 10. There is a lot of filler. When even the matches feel like filler, that's not good. Really? That's what we do now? We're talking cookbooks? Okay. Jordan says, I agree, Tom. Overall, it's been very lackluster so far. Yeah, it's just... That's deflated me a bit. They didn't seem to have much of an actual wrestling match there. Martin says, from listening, it doesn't sound the best. Yeah, it's really not. Okay, so now we get a really big, long video about Jelly Roll. They did a couple of segments, and I've got to say, to be honest, like, I sound cynical there, and it's because I'm a cynic by nature. This segment with Logan Paul interrupting Jelly Roll, the crowd were incredibly hot for it. I've also got to say, I love Logan Paul's work. Being the celebrity that doesn't care about wrestling and complaining about a celebrity coming in who doesn't care about wrestling. It's very well done. It was just an incredibly hot crowd, at least until the arrival of Drew McIntyre, where I think people didn't want to side with Logan Paul. People didn't want to pop too hard for it. Fiend says, do you see Jade Cargill turning heel? Yes, I do. I do. Although if they're essentially writing Jade Cargill out, Bianca Belair versus Naomi is suddenly back on the table. Bayley says, neither Karrion Kross nor Jade Cargill elevated themselves tonight. My immediate question would be, have they had the opportunity to? Joey says, my hopes aren't high for this match. After what we've seen so far, my hopes are definitely high for this match, because if not, they are in trouble. Fiend says, I'm speculating that Jade Cargill will be turning heel. Sean says, even SmackDown yesterday was better than this. I will say the general TV tapings are pretty much always better than the PLEs nowadays. And Joey says it's probably going to be Randy doing most of the work and Jelly Roll will get the hot tag for his spot. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty certainly what's going to happen. Randy Orton is going to spend most of this match selling his back. I think they'll have carefully rehearsed 4 or 5 spots. 4 or 5 spots that Jelly Roll has proven he can do through continual effort and continuing attempts. Rehearsals, you know? And that'll kind of be all he does. Drew McIntyre will know what he's supposed to be selling, Logan Paul will know what he's supposed to be selling, and that's kind of it. Nothing spectacular. Outside of that, we'll see Randy Orton taking on Logan Paul, we'll see Randy Orton taking on Drew McIntyre. As long as they give them some actual wrestling to do, and they don't spend the entire match with Randy Orton face down getting beat on, this could still work. The biggest problem I think WWE have given themselves, and a few people have pointed this out, is that they've just picked the wrong matches. They've got 3 tag matches in the first night. So half of these matches are tag matches, and they're all tag matches which seem like they're going to heavily involve the hot tag. Jey Uso got beat up for a while. Charlotte Flair and then Alexa Bliss got beat up for a while. Randy Orton will undoubtedly get beat up for a while. Jelly Roll will get beat up for a while. It doesn't sound like we're going to get much actual wrestling tonight. Yeah, Bailey definitely could. It's supposed to be done within an hour or so. Basically, whether this night is a success or not depends on one thing. Is Gunther versus CM Punk going to be the match of the year? If it isn't, I don't think there's any saving this. Although, to be fair, something I do have to consider. If I want to be one of these watch parties that pop up on WWE TV, 1, I need to start screaming more. 2, I need to start saying how incredible WWE is more. And 3, I need to get that paycheck through the mail. So, this is amazing. Oh my God, Logan Paul, etc., etc. Hey, I never said I wasn't going to sell out. Just so you know. I never said I wasn't going to sell out. Eric says Tiffany and Jade felt super quick in a bad way to me. Kevin, I've seen enough of it. I haven't seen all of it just yet. Fiend says, I hope nobody got hurt, but it was quick and seemed off. Eric, Shayna Baszler has produced some matches, but not in WWE. Fiend says, I'll legit fall asleep if that happens. And Kevin says, maybe Teddy Long has to book more tag team matches for night 1. Okay, so they've handed out A4 sheets saying Logan Paul's an outsider. Why is that the thing that we're calling people? Is that the name of a song? Is that a thing that Jelly Roll says? I don't understand. Anyway, Drew McIntyre. Who is thankfully not trapped in Scotland. And was only there briefly. As reported here on the Tom Colohue channel, they sent a jet with his passport to come and collect him. This is an okay spot for McIntyre. It's not a great spot for McIntyre. He's ultimately still working with Randy Orton. He's working with talented influencers like Logan Paul. He's also gonna have to sell for Jelly Roll. This feels like one of those old school WrestleMania matches with celebrities that we just don't really need. Yes, Raquel, I did see that. And as I responded earlier when someone asked the same question, LA Knight has been pushed heavily for years. He's been pushed to championships. He's been pushed to world championship matches. He's been featured regularly, week in and week out on TV and with promo time. The man has been pushed hard. Bailey says, what do you see as holding back McIntyre? The fact that other people are competing for top championships, which prevent him from doing so. There is nothing holding him back. He spent a long time as champion. Right now, what he needs to do is basically just give back a little more. Which is what he's doing. Nothing's wrong with Drew McIntyre. Nothing's wrong with him. It's just that not everyone can be on top at all times. Kevin says, do you think WWE don't care no more because of how much money they're making? They do care, they still want to be successful, but what I will say is that Triple H's booking is not as good as it has been. Raquel says, as regards LA Knight, didn't he sign a new deal? I don't get why wrestlers sign a new deal if they aren't happy with how they're being used. LA Knight is happy with how he's being used. People are reading far too much into liking a tweet in support of him. If someone said, Tom, you're fantastic and you deserve a raise, I might click like. What I wouldn't do is get an order at my boss and say, hey, you're not giving me enough money. For two reasons. Firstly, that's not really achieving anything. And secondly, I'm my boss. It would be kind of awkward to argue with myself. Not impossible. I do it all the time. But not about this. Not impossible, Fiend, but Drew's very much a heel, so. Abyss is spelled ABYSS, Eric. If that's what you're going for, yes. I know, Sean, you said. New York City, New Jersey. Did he get that wrong, or do I not understand geography? Raquel says, prediction for the main event. Do you think Seth cashes in, or do you think he's genuinely hurt and will be out for months? I think Gunther wins, basically. Sean says, who do you think beats Tiffany since Jade lost? I think Tiffany at this point moves into a brand new phase with some brand new challenges. I think maybe we get that draft after all. Blue says, tonight has been rough, Tom. You're not wrong, Blue. You're not wrong. And look at what we have to rescue it. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. I don't love Randy Orton matches at the best of times. Fiend says, I'm usually an optimist for WWE, but I think they really need a draft. I think you're correct. I think they need a shake-up. I think they need to move some people around. I think they need some new challengers and new competitors. I just think we need to move on. I think if we were moving on to, for example, an Io Sky versus Tiffany Stratton feud, that would be interesting. A Rhea Ripley versus Tiffany Stratton feud, that could be interesting. There's ways to reignite things. Hell, bring over Julia or Zelina Vega. Fiend says, I'd completely separate Jacob from Solo and Co. I think at the moment it's helping him have an obvious opponent, but I get what you're saying. We have seen a lot of it. I mean, I don't think we need to go all the way to Mania, but certainly if you want Liv to pick up that win, then that would be the case. Raquel says, I think a draft is needed. Also, I feel like WWE needs to cut back on letting these celebrities wrestle. I ain't going to argue on that one. Thank you, Blue, for explaining this, helping my failure to understand here. New Jersey is its own state, but kind of functions as a suburb of New York. This stadium is used for the 2 New York NFL teams. Interesting. Bailey says I'd separate Piper Niven from the Secret Service. She's an underrated performer. Those 3 travel together, they like each other, and they seem pretty happy where they are. Undoubtedly, she could get more of a push separate. I don't necessarily think she'd have more fun. I really don't think the 4 screens are... Oh, God. I really don't think the 4 screens are a positive. It doesn't work for me with a lighting rig as it is. So Jelly Roll has now done the Randy Orton pose. Put that on your bingo card. Okay, lights are up. I would be surprised to see Jelly Roll start this match. Oh, Logan Paul's immediately punched him, so he's not starting this match. Raquel, you do know why. It's because it's not a great pay-per-view so far. Eric, because the fans said so, and they have a chance now to prove the fans wrong by not featuring him. So that was essentially an excuse to start the match with Randy and not with Jelly Roll. Fiend says, if it were up to me, I'd go for a less is more approach, meaning less LEDs. I'd just make it darker in general. Okay, interesting. Jelly Roll wants in, so I'd imagine he's about to get a severe beating. Bailey says, when the writer on Unreal pitched that scenario how Chelsea Green would win the Royal Rumble, had to laugh, but knew they'd never go with it. They need to do that a lot. They need writers who are going to stand up and really push their own agendas. Raquel, I agree. I think there's been a lot of dodgy finishes recently. Or questionable ones, like the Tiffany Stratton one. Certainly at the beginning of that match, I thought it was going to be slow. I could not have been more wrong there. Logan Paul calling the shots for Jelly Rolls, an interesting one. Not a conversation I ever thought I'd be having. Blue says night 2 is so stacked in comparison. The ticket sales seem to follow this. A much bigger spread than usual for the 2-night events. Jelly Roll getting a big pop for a scoop slam. I'm glad he didn't go close to a near fall for that. Like, Logan Paul, let him get his stuff in. What's on your... Logan, what's on your tit? I don't think anyone's going to chant for a refund, Kevin. Like, at the moment, the fans are into this. Pretty big Jelly Roll chant there. Pretty big. He also looks suitably nervous facing off against a Drew McIntyre. This is a different world. I don't think he's going to tag out. He's not going to tag out. Fiend says, Unreal told me all I needed to know. Bruce Pritchard sucks, Michael Hayes too. The writers seem to have a better idea than those two. Isn't Michael Hayes the one who wanted Jey Uso to win? Eric says, what night is the SmackDown tag title match on? Second night. There's only 2 matches left, and this is the only tag one. Fiend says they put all the bangers on night 2. Well, they gave us Punk versus Gunther, and that's about it. They couldn't give you all the bangers. They're putting a lot of stock into this. You got to remember, they thought the matches were good. When they were producing them, they thought they'd absolutely slap. I genuinely think Jelly Roll just said, I forgot my spot, please help. Yeah, Jelly Roll getting all this stuff in very early. Fiend says, I wonder if the producers are as disappointed as we are. Likely so. There's this idea the fans have that, oh, this is a bad show. How did WWE not realise? They do. Their intentions and their executions are not always the same thing. Sometimes the creative bad, sometimes the performance is bad. Sometimes both are bad. Eric, I'm not sure what you're talking about when it comes to Punk Cena. There was no chance of Punk Cena at Mania. That was never an option. Kevin says Evolution was more fun. I agree. That was a great show. That was a great show. And I've got to say, the matches so far, it's the women's ones I've enjoyed most, but I kind of knew that one was coming. Okay, I think we're about to be in the long beatdown. Oh, no, Eric, it's because of Jey Uso. They wanted to push Jey Uso. Like, if you think the past beef would have stopped that push, that's ridiculous. If that were true, why would he be back at all? Okay, we're now back to waiting for the hot tag. It's the same thing all night. And don't get me wrong, Jelly Roll's had a couple of moments. He's had his pops. But this is slowing down and it's getting repetitive. Raquel says, whenever Triple H decides to retire doing creative, obviously won't be for decades, but who would you like to see run creative? There are some good options. I honestly think Becky Lynch has done a pretty good job with her own stuff so far. And I think she could do pretty well. I think there are people like Randy Orton, who have the acumen himself. CM Punk, also genuinely a very creative guy. Outside of that, I would probably go beyond the scope. There are very creative team members whose names you don't hear a lot. And I would just hope that people can understand that sometimes the best person to write a wrestling storyline is not a wrestler. Kevin says one of the 3 tag teams should have been a tornado tag match. The first match had moments of it. Sadly did not continue, but it had moments of it. Logan Paul is trying to kind of distract fans away from Jelly Roll at moments. Trying to build heat without necessarily exposing Jelly Roll's lack of training. Fiend says Seth and Becky co-running it would be cool. I don't think Seth has ever shown any real interest in creative. Whereas Becky very much has. There's been no inclination that Seth cares in the slightest. He seems a bit more functional. You know, he wants what he wants. And once it's done, it's done. Okay, so it was an okay pop for the level of hot tag, but it wasn't great. Rickan says, did you see Cena Babyface promo last night? Do you think he's playing the fans into the cheap heel finish tomorrow? Yeah. I've always thought that. Fair, Bailey. Shawn Michaels could be the one. I suspect when Triple H finishes, Shawn Michaels finishes too, though. To my knowledge, Shawn Michaels is happy in NXT. He's surprised that he has the amount of creative... he's surprised that he has the creative position that he has, because it's not something he wanted. but he isn't necessarily interested in joining the main roster. Kevin says, I feel bad for Sami because right now the man is getting destroyed on Twitter and Facebook. A lot of negative comments. Well, social media is a dumpster fire. Never listen to it. Twitter is a hellscape. You don't miss it when it's gone. Eric, neither of those are likely at all. The Rock does not have the time to commit to it. And that second option would be nepotism. Not to say that doesn't happen, because Triple H, but you get what I mean. This match isn't very fun. Because McIntyre and Randy Orton have similar gear, I genuinely thought Jelly Roll had forgotten who his tag team partner was then. That was a weak bump. Oh, what happened there? He was rolling and falling before he was even hit. Okay, we're going to get some tables. Maybe that'll pop the crowd. Maybe that'll wake people up. Maybe that'll make people care. I don't think it's going to. Raquel says, Rock wanted KO as champion, but someone else picked Cena. Cena was obviously the bigger shock factor they went with, but in my opinion, KO would have been a better story. I don't think it would have been. I think Cena definitely was the big moment, as it were. I really enjoyed the heel turn. The problem is everything after that, and I think if Kevin Owens had also had the same problems, he also would have already had a long feud. I think we would have been sick of him a lot faster. Lovely. Lovely splash. Perfect. Logan Paul selling very well. I would suggest maybe we're about to see a Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton finish. Like, forget the actual tag business. It's a beautiful splash. Lovely rotation. Perfect positioning. Just enough space to roll. I don't like the man, but he's so good at this. Eric says, could you see Shane returning one day? Yeah. Fiend says, KO shouldn't need to sell his soul to Rock to win a world title. Yeah, but he also can't win a world title without it. Bailey, I don't go on Twitter for a reason. I don't want people dropping, hey, Twitter said this stupid thing in here. I don't go on Twitter for a reason. That level of stupidity ain't made for here. Drew McIntyre is rolling Randy Orton in. It looks like that is indeed going to be where we head. Logan Paul is getting up. I suspect our finish is going to be, wow, Jelly Roll's getting up. How is that happening? Randy Orton with an RKO out of nowhere, blah, blah, blah. Logan Paul looks pretty happy. He's once again got something stuck to his titty. Jelly Roll is up. Fiend says Drew and Logan should win this. I mean, it's been a face-heavy finish. Okay, so he wasn't quite up. He was up long enough to break the 10 count in the last man standing match. Again, a big pop as he gets up again. Was he maybe told to take a knee there? The crowd are really responding to this. I think maybe he was told to take a knee and milk it. They can just vamp in the ring. It'll be fine. There's no way he's being hauled out of the ringside area. There is no way he's leaving. This is a sell. Like, does he have a food and drink company? Oh, very nice, Logan. Very nice. How do you hurt yourself with that? Very nice. Oh, he's taking a knee again. Like, if Jelly Roll has a food and drink company, this is the perfect time for him to have a snack on it and suddenly become hulked up. Referee's telling him his next steps. Tell him to take a moment, wait for it. You'll hear it when he gets up again. It is all paint by numbers, but I've got to say, so far, this is probably the best match of the night. Decent intrigue, okay wrestling, the splash was lovely, we had a table spot. I do feel like they're purely vamping in the ring right now. They have had no instruction. The producer hasn't told them what to do. It's just a case of, hey, you Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, just make it work. Which is where we are. Okay, everyone's down. Jelly Roll's back on his feet. The referee giving instructions while also watching what's going on outside. Always turning. Here we go. He's nearly at his turnbuckle. He's coming. A lot of spit. Didn't love that. Very shiny teeth. Predictable is not always bad. If he tags in and just beats everyone up, I'm going to be mad now. You're taking your time with this one, mate. You're taking a lot of time with this one. You're taking too much time with this one. Can I just say Logan Paul probably shouldn't have let him get away with that. I swear he was trying to rip his shirt there and it just didn't work. Oh no, no, wipe your face, wipe your face. And stop spitting, mate. Very disrespectful. Logan Paul's undoubtedly right now laid in your spit. That's a terrible pin. You didn't know where Drew was, did you? You were panicking. Oh, okay. It's a hot finish. Jelly Roll has guarded his privates. He's put himself into position there. He needs his arms not there, but oh, that's going to hurt Logan. That's really going to hurt Logan. Shoulder wasn't down, but the ref knows better than to not count. That's really going to hurt Logan Paul. He landed directly on the arms, and your arms, they're supposed to be at the side for a reason. Like, there was no risk to your genitalia, mate. There was no risk to it. It was a hot finish. The match was alright. I'm giving it a 7. I think it was a relatively slow start. But we did get a couple of big spots. We did get some decent pace. And I also think it's important that Jelly Roll lost. Yeah, Fiend, you're absolutely right. It was fun. That was fun. That was enjoyable. There were memorable spots. You can see in the replay Wade Barrett basically just going, oof. Which is correct. Jelly Roll gets to walk away basically saying, I competed, I stood my ground, I did well. He knew what his spots were supposed to be. And ultimately a Claymore and a Frog Splash, you're not going to beat those. He wasn't great. And I think he knows that. Jordan said it did what it said on the tin, 7 out of 10. Bailey says WWE needs fewer celebrities. Not everyone can be Logan Paul or Bad Bunny. I agree. I would say they've done well with the celebrities in recent years. You've rightly mentioned Logan Paul and Bad Bunny. They're good examples. Pat McAfee's another one. That's a good number. Maybe leave them there. Maybe just leave them there. I still think Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre are not exactly a tag team made in heaven. Not exactly what I would expect. Oh look, it's LA Knight. Size rolling in his grave as we speak. Marcel gives it a 7 as well. Again, not a bad match, and yes, probably the best match so far. The first match, we got to match 5, and it's the first one that I would say was good. Of course, next up is Gunther versus CM Punk, and I'm pretty confident that's going to be great. But it needs to be. It really needs to be. Joey says it was decent. It got the crowd going. And knowing what the main event is, the crowd were always going to be hyped for that. But it's a poor start. Joey says, just didn't like how they made Jelly Roll sell the injury for that long. I mean, he's supposed to be an ordinary guy who got splashed through a table. That's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Aaron agrees with the sevens. They're advertising Clash in Paris, which will take place on a Sunday, but will take place at a decent time. September 1st, I will be live for that. Interesting seeing them publicly praising the president on WWE TV. That's political, and they do try and avoid being political. There is some long pauses, but I think it's because the UK version of this is muting a lot of the show. I think, for example, some of the advertising or sponsorship, the UK version is just muting it. We are running through the card for night 2. The women's triple threat, the United States Championship cage match, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. You can see why this particular card looks so much better. They have stacked it. Styles versus Mysterio. Just swapping that onto this card would have made a huge difference. Make this the show in which Judgment Day loses all the gold. You can tell a narrative through it. TLC. There's so much more on night 2. Big pop there. Big pop for Cena versus Cody in the street fight. They don't fancy the tag matches. TLC's not really a tag match, let's be fair. Their SummerSlam post-show doesn't seem to feature any wrestlers. You think it's a great opportunity for Tiffany Stratton? Okay, time for some spray, I think. It's been a few hours. Oh. We have 25 minutes left of the expected showtime. We head into our main event, which honestly, I think we'll maybe go over by 5 minutes. Neither CM Punk nor Gunther like slow motion, but I do think the entrances will be drawn out. This hype video will last basically forever. We don't get a lot of wrestling on our PLEs anymore. We don't get a lot of wrestling on our TV shows anymore. There's not a lot of wrestling in wrestling anymore. I think WWE turned it up during the point at which AEW was a legitimate threat. I think Triple H turned it up when it was essentially put to him that you need to be beating these guys. But now they have. And I just think they've all taken their foot off the gas. I think interest levels are low. And I think a SummerSlam like this, we're really seeing Triple H's work exposed. I don't think the booking and the creative is necessarily wrong. I think the production is lazy. I think we need a refresh of the production team. We need to change things up. We need to try some different things, because this, for me, is not working. Punk and Gunther, I'm sure, can create something new, something original, something intriguing. I don't really know how this is going to go. There's also the possibility hanging in the air, as Wrestling Observer is saying, that there's going to be a Seth Rollins here. Bailey says, how would you make changes? Sounds like a good conversation. Well, as I say, I would have a refresh of the production team. Bring in some new ideas. I would maybe switch around the challenges a little, particularly coming into Clash at Paris. I definitely have a draft and create opportunities such as Rhea Ripley versus Tiffany Stratton, for example. I'd be pushing Stephanie Vacker. I don't think that surprises anyone. When it comes to Bron Breakker, I'd have him actually beat Roman Reigns. I just think there's some pretty big opportunities there to take. Marcel says, I see tomorrow opening with a TLC match as a hot start to the night. It definitely would be a hot start. Definitely would. I also think there's a possibility that the women's triple threat opens as well. There's a lot of good possibilities and good choices that they could make. Again, a long hype package for a feud that isn't really... It's been 3 weeks of talking. It kind of suggests to me that this feud might be keeping going. But I'm sure we're about to find out. CM Punk finally gets his championship match. Live now. Again, I really don't like those screens. The audio seems off again. I don't know. Crowd will get it going. Man's taking his time. Fiend says, I would have designed a much better stage in the video game. I just don't feel like they really want to make the effort anymore. They're cost cutting a lot right now, and I don't know why. Just spend a bit of money. Make it look good. You're not exactly trying to sell again, are you? I've also got to say, as weird as it sounds, I like that they've had the cage hanging up the entire night, even though the cage match doesn't happen until tomorrow. They could have only hung it there tomorrow, but they decided not to remind everyone, hey, there's a cage match tomorrow. As a man of OCD, Blue, line must always go up and big number should definitely become bigger number, but there is such a thing as good spending. Michael Cole having to make a point that it's been a long time since he's captured a WWE Championship. Technically, there's an argument to be made that CM Punk is still the AEW Champion. He took an AEW Championship home after his match with Samoa Joe at All In at Wembley, which was his last appearance for AEW. I was there for that. True, Blue. The man knew how to grow. Sometimes you do have to spend money to make money. Oh yeah, Blue, he still got it. He still got it. He's asked a few times if he can bring it out on WWE TV. Triple H has told him absolutely not. Erin says this is the first test on the is Seth Rollins actually injured question the internet loves right now. The internet absolutely loves it. The internet keeps asking it. We will find out. No worries, Blue. Fiend says, wait, he for real has the real world title. Yeah. Yeah, he never gave it back. The championship had already been replaced at that point. He had his own specific version. Technically, I believe they were on the third after it was stolen, so... Well, went missing with Jericho. There's lots of belts in AEW. Some of them look exactly the same. And some of them aren't with AEW anymore. Some are with CM Punk. I would imagine, and I'm going to reach out and find out more details on this, I'd imagine quite a few wrestlers were not happy with certain choices Jelly Roll made in the ring, particularly the spitting. They have to lay down on that mat. People like Gunther are not going to be happy with that. Bailey, I'm not sure what the question is. Sean says CM Punk has not been pinned this year, so it's clear Seth is going to cash in. Has Jade Cargill been pinned this year before today? That don't matter. Fiend immediately disputes CM Punk was pinned at Night of Champions. Would that be by John Cena? John, have you missed a show? He's getting the big fight feel. Crowd are definitely helping. Nobody does Gunther's intro quite like Ludwig Kaiser. I think it's a shame Gunther works distinctly alone now. I don't think there was ever a downside to having Imperium, knowing that Gunther could just wrestle clean regardless. Your backup doesn't necessarily have to do the old-fashioned heel thing and try and make people chant USA at you. Sometimes your backup can genuinely just be friends. Just cheer you on. Just occasionally insult the other person. Fiend loving the way the title looks. Fans getting very behind CM Punk, and he's wearing the brightest of blues. Bismo says Imperium was a great team. I have very fond memories. I was in Blackpool when Imperium were attacked by the Undisputed Era. They flew them all the way across just to have a beatdown. It was very good times. It was only my second ever TikTok. Erin says, I miss Ludwig Kaiser on TV. Me too. We've not seen him on TV in months, it feels like. They were, Bailey. Fiend says it's a shame they turned on Vinci and then Vinci did nothing until his release happened. Just broke them down for no real reason. There must have been some reason, just hell if I know it. I always love when they mention Gunther's loss record. They never mentioned that he just always loses at WrestleMania. He has a day that he always has a weakness. I agree, Fiend. I agree. There's a million and one things that could have happened. Most of them aren't salacious. Most of them are just fairly basic. He might have been homesick, for example. There's a lot of things that I say that could have happened. Either way, it did not work out. Haven't really seen him wrestle elsewhere much. Might have to look that up. Oh, our wrestling match is starting with a bit of good old-fashioned wrestling. Punk can be a technical wrestler if he needs to be. He rarely wants to be. What I will say is if he wants to prove himself the best in the world, Gunther's opponent he needs to outdo. And I don't think he can. The argument that he's the best in the world, he can certainly still make that argument on the microphone. I would argue with our current level of talent in the ring, there are many people who are better wrestlers than CM Punk. Gunther's one of them. I'd say Seth Rollins is one of them. I'd also kind of suggest that Rhea Ripley's one of them. Bailey for the technique. If we're talking purely WWE, Gunther, Seth, as I've mentioned, are definitely up there. AJ Styles, I think, is still technically the best technical wrestler on the roster. Also, a lot of love for Finn Balor. When it comes to technique, a lot of love for Finn Balor. I also think I'll be remiss to not mention Randy Orton there. Ah, yes, but Pete Dunne makes the wrong friends. We'll see, Aaron. It's not too far off now, the return of Ilya Dragunov, but I think he'll struggle to make an impact now. I think there's an argument to be made that he was struggling to make an impact anyway. His style isn't necessarily main roster style. That creates its own difficulties. Punk is genuinely trying to wrestle technically here. It seems unnatural to him. That's a very good sell. That is a very good sell. It's a beautiful chop. That'll definitely undo a lot of the technical acumen. Are we seeing some yes kicks? Do we really want to say that CM Punk has an MMA style background? Would you rather just people forget about that? I watched his MMA career. I watched all his training videos. There's a whole host of training videos for his MMA career on YouTube, which are well worth watching. You do learn a lot. It didn't help him, but you do learn a lot. Punk making good use of the ropes. We're taking our time, but we're not wrestling slow. We're obviously building towards something. They're playing it clever. They're establishing the block, which is good. Punk, unfortunately, is taking a few risks, which is unusual for him. He's usually an incredibly clever wrestler. I've just seen Nick Khan in the crowd again. He loves that spot. Yeah, sadly, Punk did not do well. Gunther not using technique here, just using brawn. And it is resulting in a pretty good position for him. There's a clear power advantage, and it is not with Punk. As a general rule, Fiend, if I don't have details, Nick Khan's opinion will be, he makes me money, so I like him. Nick Khan is rarely involved in any of the day-to-day stuff. He doesn't care about the character, he doesn't care about the personalities, he cares about the numbers. A position I can respect. I'd suggest maybe they're moving into the next phase. CM Punk likes to work in Bret Hart style phases. Eventually we need a CM Punk AJ Styles proper feud, by the by. Because that would be glorious. Both of them are full-on disciples of the Bret Hart School of Wrestling. Oh, never mentioned a WWE Unreal from Wade Barrett. Eric says, how much leeway do you give booking with the big stars? Injury? I mean, no Liv, no Bianca, no Jimmy, no Seth. Oh, none. I give no leeway. You have plenty of talent there that you could just pivot to. Yeah, you have plenty. And I don't feel like it's the names. I feel like this particular night, the problem has been the execution. I feel like the production's been lacking and the wrestlers themselves just haven't really gotten into it. I think Kross's heart wasn't in it, which I don't blame him for, to be honest. And I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what's going on with Jade Cargill. I think there might be more to this, but I have no reason to believe that beyond anecdotal evidence. It's not rare anymore that Punk works as an underdog. But it is rare that he works as this much of an underdog. His selling here is particularly good. He's struggling to come up with a game plan. He clearly had a strategy. It mostly has worked. But when it doesn't work hard. Oh, so now he's trying to take the hits. There's only so much you can do against Gunther, mate. If you think you can just take the chops, you are going to end up hurt. Oh, Punk wasn't quite ready for that one. Oh. Nice. Very nice. Gunther dragging him back as well for another one. Oh, this is good stuff. It's kind of repetitive and not necessarily in a bad way. It's a lot of chops, it's a lot of kicks. But Punk is putting himself into different scenarios. It's not a case of we're hitting the same move in the same place in the ring. Punk keeps moving around the ring. Using the ropes like that is very good. Punk is essentially communicating to Gunther in what he's doing there. For example, when Sheamus starts beating down on the chest, the wrestler will communicate by staying on their feet. If they drop down, Sheamus then pumps up to the crowd as if he was always intending to hit that many. By essentially staying on his feet, Punk is saying, hit me again. He's listening to the crowd and being like, okay, this is a good time to keep it going. Gunther's responding well to it because he also understands what's going on. Fiend says these two are working great. Yeah, they do work really well together. This seems like it's been very cleverly put together. There's a lot of technical wrestling, but nice. I want to check Gunther's chest. It looks like there's either just a big red welt or he's actually cut. Yep, that's blood. And they're zooming in on it. It is not often that they zoom in on it. We enter the next phase. I mean, he does like those films, Fiend. He is a Marvel guy by nature. I feel like Gunther called a bit of an audible there. Going for a splash. Are you going to do the thing that Rock used to do where you just punch you in the penis? No. Gunther doing a sharpshooter. That's not something he's chosen. Do you remember earlier where I said that Punk is a disciple? You calm down. Where I said that Punk is a disciple of Bret Hart. I feel that's just been firmly proven. I would agree, Fiend. About another 10 minutes. Overall, they're telling a good story, but they don't need to rush it. I'm sorry, are you going to try and reverse a sharpshooter into a sharpshooter? That's... Gunther had to do that for him. Gunther had to do that for him. There is a general strategy I do want to point out with most WWE submission moves. Just turn left. It sounds so silly, but in most submission moves in the WWE, the easiest way you can escape them is you just turn left. That includes a sharpshooter. If you can turn left, ain't no problems. If you can do the Steve Austin thing of literally doing a push-up, then you can turn left. The crowd aren't necessarily the loudest, but it's respectful. They're not making noise, they're not making chants as much necessarily because they're invested. Gunther is now putting himself into the same position he did with Sami Zayn. There is a clear handprint on Gunther's chest. There are 2 clear handprints on Gunther's chest. Which, to be clear, he enjoys. I feel like this might actually save night 1. There's a comeback coming. He's about to press the right buttons. Oh, we're getting to the tap sling? Tit slapping phase. I don't know where I was going. I don't know whether it's just the hair, but Punk looks exhausted. Oh, I'm seeing blood on Punk's chest as well. Typically, Punk's preference is either 3 phases or 5 phases. We have just entered phase 4. There's a couple of slight botches, nothing serious. The atomic drop that ended up being a spine buster wasn't perfect. That powerbomb was a bit awkward. But nothing that's putting us off. I mean, the Cena Punk match at Money in the Bank was quite botchy. Nobody cares. A good match is a good match. If anything, it made it look more realistic, which I think is what we're seeing here, to be honest. Punk being quite clever once again with his technical wrestling, using submission styles to wear his opponent down. He's not necessarily trying to do damage, he's just trying to exhaust. I was waiting for the Boston Crab. Punk countering well. Oh, that was to the throat. He's going back to the chops, which have proven reliable. Sure, Kevin, sure. This could be Gunther's undoing. He's repeatedly going back to the same well, the well that's been reliable for him so far. Punk has shown he can block, he just doesn't seem to want to right now. Which suggests that he will pick his moment for it. Oh, we're going on to the top rope, are we? This seems a silly choice. This doesn't seem like it's going to help you. This doesn't seem beneficial. It's not. Again, Gunther going back to that well. Nearly didn't rotate enough there. Gunter's got plenty of energy. He's running across the ring. I would also say they've managed to create decent tension without a lot of false finishes. They haven't needed the late kickouts. They haven't needed the major strikes. They haven't needed the finisher spam. They're just telling a good old-fashioned wrestling story. Punk might be crying a little bit. Both men are giving blood here. Stubbornness is right. Proven fact. Gunther's starting to look tired as well. Again, the hair really helps the situation. Just really sweaty hair definitely makes you look tired. Gloating to the crowd, of course, is what cost Gunther the World Heavyweight Championship in the first place. Focusing on Sami's family. Looked for a moment like Punk was going to roll through that one. I appreciate that, Bailey. I'm trying my best to give you insight. We are, for example, now into phase 5. Like, as I say, I'm not a play-by-play, beat-by-beat guy. I do what I can. Sexy pin. But we are now getting to the point of the finish spam. We're now getting to the point of the false finishes. They've taken their time. They've built it up. They've got people invested. Now they're going to ratchet up the tension. A few CM Punk chants sneaking in there. If there is going to be a cash-in, there's certainly justification for the win now. It's a little bit Undertaker and Shawn Michaels now. I agree, Fiend. It's definitely delivering. For me, it's actually over-delivering. Very high quality. Really shows what both men can do. It's not CM Punk's usual style. He's adapted to Gunther here, which is a huge credit to him. This is him modernizing his game. Martin says, Rollins said in storyline he'd take everything from Punk. Maybe the world title is a final take. If that's the case, it doesn't necessarily need to be tonight. Though, of course, we will see. There's not much of the show left, so. Oh, okay. That's interesting. New and unique. I never understood why heels don't take count-out wins. Like, he's down on the floor. You might as well just leave him there and see if he gets counted out. Get yourself a rest. Don't touch the title. Don't touch the title. Don't touch the title. Never touch the title. Never touch the title. Oh no, that's bad luck. That's making me rethink everything. This is the ego that cost him against Sami Zayn. I gotta say, that particular table does not want to be broken. That's the second time after the Bron breaking knee. That table does not want to go. Gunther went shoulder first. I think he was trying to pop the table. Though I suppose it's not really going through the table if you're not put through it. Punk gets a breather. This one looks like it might actually go a little longer. Oh, he bladed. He's bladed. He's bladed when his face was never near the table. And there's no blood on the table. This was not a good decision. There's a lot of blood and it's very in his eyes. Now it's going to be a lot of blood. Because a head injury always bleeds. Fiend says they're given this time. They absolutely are. Suddenly it feels like this one is turning. Shouldn't have touched the title. Never touched the title. Seems like they're building to a finish now. Awkward clothesline. He's going through his whole repertoire. Bloody thigh, bloody fist, bloody hips. Oh, fans are ready for that. Fans are ready for that, but that is locked in. This will feel familiar to Punk. Why are you getting up? Why are you getting up? That's not locked in anymore. Why did you let go of it? Why would you do that? God damn it, Sonata. Oh, again, big spit. Maybe Gunther's not that bad about it. He wants another one? I think he wants another one. I think he's probably asked for a second one. Man be losing. CM Punk is your new World Heavyweight Champion. Fantastic match. Brilliant match. Really showed the Bret Hart in that for both men. Respectful nod to the past without losing anything to what we're doing now. And I'll say again, he met Gunther where Gunther lives. He didn't wrestle a CM Punk match. He wrestled a Gunther match. It's a fair point, Martin. Gunther is... that's his second World Heavyweight Championship loss, and he didn't have this one for very long at all. Jordan says, quality match, 8 out of 10. Personally, I'm giving that a 10. I think that was brilliant. Very entrancing, never really slowed down. Punk was hitting the right notes. There was an element of luck to the eventual win. Gunther shouldn't have touched the title. Never touched the title. Yes, Martin, if there is going to be a cash-in, this is naturally going to be the time. Marcel gives the match a 9. Punk has undoubtedly had a hell of a beating. The emotional moment scares me a little bit. Now, it's been Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer who've been pushing the idea of a cash-in here. It's the referees just told him something. The referees just told him something. It would be a coup for the Wrestling Observer if they're proven right here. But the referee has just told Punk something, and I'm interested to see what it was. Bailey says 9 out of 10, never touched the title. Fiend gives it a 10 out of 10. We have a troll who's already been proven wrong, and yet still wants to do it again. Blue says if Seth doesn't come out, it would be kind of funny if it happened tomorrow. Or if he just moved on from Punk. Punk's in no position to defend himself. The thing that makes me think it might happen is the result of the first match, to be honest. Here we go. Dave Meltzer called this one. Yeah, that's not real. WWE went to some extremes for this story, but I guess they didn't go to extremes enough. Nick says 8 out of 10. I took off a point for the camera showing Gunther fiddling around under the announce table. There. Blue says Seth is there on crutches. Martin saying drop the crutches. I mean, it's a clunky knee brace. It would take a while to take that off. I'm not saying he's not going to. Paul Heyman looking very confused as to, wait, aren't you catching it? Yep. It's the cash-in. Is he going to keep the knee brace? Nope, that's going to come off as well. Bailey says, why didn't Punk just run out of the building? A fair question, which would be very funny after all this theatrics. It would be very funny after all this if Punk just left. Okay, don't hit the ref. Punk threw the belt at him. This is going to be a bit merciless. Blue saying just run, Punk. He probably should. Seth does love a cash-in. Yeah, again, merciless. We have a very upset looking referee. Well, I dare say his faction are going to get their heat back. Yeah, he did, Blue. I counted at least twice. One stomp. Job's a good one. Fair, Blue, it does indeed. Night one really needed this main event, didn't it? It really needed it. A great match with a cash-in at the end. Continuing the Seth and CM Punk story, which has been going on since CM Punk returned. Rebuilding a faction that needed a bit of a rebuild after the first match of the night. Bit of full circle. Very true, Blue. Very true. Imagine if this one didn't come out. But again, we have to give Wrestling Observer credit. They got this one. No one else did. No one else. Blue says, yes, it did, Tom. This probably made those who pay some crazy prices for tickets feel like it was worth it. I should hope so. I should hope so. Fiend says Gunther versus Punk was 5 stars. I've deleted the troll because clearly you don't watch enough to actually know my record. You're just making it up. Bailey says, where does this go in terms of faces? I don't really understand the question. Seth's a heel. Nothing else to really talk about there. Oh, Fiend saying, look at Bron's knee. It would be quite funny if they basically swapped injured people. Barton says, now we need heel Cody tomorrow. Do we? Kevin says, how was the main event? Brilliant. Brilliant. Bailey says, who challenges Seth going forward? Well, CM Punk seems the obvious choice. He still has some heat with Jey Uso. LA Knight has a recent win against him. There's options. Martin, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to really sit down and enjoy SmackDown. I don't know. Blue, I haven't seen or heard any reports from Post Wrestling about it. All I've heard myself is from Wrestling Observer. Now, if it is the case, then I will certainly look that up. Nick says Punk was champ for just over 5 minutes. Eric says, I feel so bad for Punk. I hope he gets it back soon. Nick says, longer than Drew, I wonder? No. Drew McIntyre was able to really gloat and turn that screw for quite a while. So, that was a bad night for WWE. I know that they got their brilliant finale, and it was good. I know they got a really big, really memorable finish, and a tremendous main event. That does not change the fact that that was a bad night for WWE. And I really do feel like they should stop and rethink what they did there to make sure that it does not happen again. guys, I'm going to say a big thank you to everyone who's joined us, and I am going to wrap it up there. I'll see you all tomorrow for night 2, which will hopefully be a little bit more exciting. But in the meantime, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.